Hello, Mon family. Welcome back to another episode of Monday Over Negativity. And honestly, it's Monday. And if you feel like your brain already has 17 tabs open, this episode is for you. But before I start, we're going to do a little quick test. And don't worry, there's no math involved. I would never do that to you on a Monday. But for the next 10 seconds, I want you to do absolutely nothing. Don't check your phone. Don't open another app. Don't look at a notification. So, are you ready? Let's go. And how did you do? Because I'm pretty sure some of you guys failed. And we're approximately 30 seconds into this episode, and somebody checked a notification. Somebody probably opened Instagram. Somebody and came right back. And somebody is listening to me while doing four other things, thinking, no, girl, like I'm focused. But are you? Because lately I've realized that I don't think I know how to give one thing my full attention anymore. I can put on a show and generally want to watch, and somehow I still need my phone. Then I miss something and then I rewind, and then I miss something else and then I rewind again. And then a 45-minute episode has become a 2-hour commitment. The first time wasn't even a viewing, it was like an orientation. And that started bothering me because if I can't focus on something designated to entertain me, what happens when something is actually boring, difficult, uncomfortable? And honestly, this feels like a very Monday conversation because every Monday we're like, this week I'm logging in. Then by like 10:37 a.m., we're doing everything except the thing that we were supposed to lock in on. And then suddenly I wasted Monday. I'm behind. I have no discipline. No, okay? This is Monday over negativity. So instead of spending the week beating ourselves up, I want to understand why focusing has become so damn difficult and how we can get it back. And if you failed my 10-second test, that's perfect. You're exactly where you need to be. And welcome to MON. Now, let's see if you can make it through this episode without opening TikTok.
This is MON, still showing up.
Hosted by Denise.
Now, let's get started with our MON stories. I have 3 today. And let's start. So, this first one, somebody said, I recently started a new job working from home. And honestly, one of the biggest reasons I was so excited was because I wouldn't have to put my newborn in daycare. I could work and still have my baby home with me. Well, today of all days, my baby decided to have a complete meltdown while I was on the phone with a customer. She was crying in the background, and I'm trying to stay professional, calm her down, and handle the call at the same time. Then the customer goes, wait, is that a baby? I froze, and then she asked, do you have a baby? And I said yes, but in my head, I'm panicking because I just started this job and immediately thought, oh my God, I'm about to get in trouble. But I kept going. I calmed down the baby. I handled the customer, resolved what needed to be resolved, and finished my work. It wasn't how I imagined my workday going, but I still showed up as an employee and as a mom. And let me tell you something. Sometimes showing up is not having everything put together. Like there's going to be days where chaos is going to happen, but it's what you do. And sometimes you're just going to be handling the chaos and doing the best that you can. And that's literally Mon. So kudos to you and thank you so much for sharing that Mon story. Now, this next one, somebody said, I woke up Saturday morning and realized I had no creamer. And not just any creamer, my creamer, the one that I actually like. So I got up, went to Giants hoping that they would have it. I walked in and bam, there it was. They had it. That's my Mon moment. So, I mean, some weeks, Mon moments are just going to be surviving something really hard. And then there's going to be just making sure that you have your favorite creamer from Giants. I mean, both count, and that's the whole point. And then this last Mon story is actually really hilarious. um, Especially now with this generation. And as a parent, I'm sure there's going to be a ton more stories. But somebody said, first day back to school, and I already got a message from the teacher. Apparently, the class was being loud, and the teacher kept asking everybody to quiet down. He needed, my son decided she needed backup and yelled, "Quiet on the creek." The teacher told him, "I appreciate you trying to help, but I can handle the class." So when he got home, I asked him why he would yell that in the middle of class, generally confused, and said, "Well, I was helping her so we can understand." Oh man. And I couldn't argue because in his mind, he was the assistant teacher. Hey, I mean, he really did no wrong and he showed up day one in school. So that's all that matters. So Mon family, remember to continue sharing your Mon stories. Again, linked in my YouTube channel and also my Instagram. And it can literally be anything. If you have any questions, I might do a Q&A soon. I'll probably post it on my Instagram, so make sure to be following. And apparently today we're getting our attention span back. And let me be honest, okay? And let me ruin something for all of us. Most of us are not actually multitasking. We're multi switching, which honestly sounds a little bit less impressive. Nobody is putting excellent task switcher on their LinkedIn. But think about what we actually do. You're writing an email, a text come in, you check it, you go back to the email, then you remember something that you wanted to Google, you Google it, and then somehow that leads you somewhere else. And then you come back to the email, and now you're staring at the sentence you wrote, like, what was I even trying to say? And this is the part that I find interesting because every time you switch, your brain has to orient it itself. Wow, I can't even say that. Like, where was I? What was I doing? What information was I holding in my head? Or what was I about to do next? And sometimes part of your attention is still hanging on to the things that just left. And there was actually a term that researchers use. It's called like attention residual, which to me explains so much because sometimes I will work for an hour and think, why did that take me so long? And baby, it's because I mentally clocked out 14 times. And some of you are listening to this episode right now while scrolling. Don't look around because I'm talking to you. Maybe I caught some of you guys red handed. Sometimes I don't reach my phone when I'm doing something important. I reach for it when nothing is happening, like in between gym sets or waiting for coffee or in an elevator. And you guys listening to me, this probably has happened to you. And someone says, "I'll be there in 5 minutes." And apparently, those 5 minutes must be immediately filled with being on your phone. And that's kind of crazy when you actually think about it. There used to be all these tiny, boring moments built into the day. You waited, you looked around, you people watched, you stared out the window, you thought about something, you just existed. And now, God forbid, DoorDash takes an extra 4 minutes. I'm checking my Instagram like I'm waiting for medical results. And I started wondering whether we've gotten so used to filling every empty second that an empty second now feels so uncomfortable because boredom creates like this little urge for us: find something, check something, give me something interesting. And our phones are really good at answering that urge that we have immediately. You don't even have to decide what you want. You just open TikTok and you start swiping, and something's new there. And then you swipe again, and then something new is there. And then do you do it again? And you're basically outsourcing the question of what should I pay attention to the algorithm. And that bothers me a little bit. And that should bother you because boredom isn't necessarily a waste of time. Sometimes boredom is where your mind wanders or where you remember something. And sometimes you get an idea when you are just in silence or just in boredom. And sometimes you realize how you're actually feeling. And sometimes nothing happens. And maybe that's okay too. But if every tiny pause in my life immediately gets filled with somebody else's content, when does my own brain get turned on? And, or not turned on, get a turn. But and I'm not saying that we all need to stare at the walls for spiritual enlightenment. Please. I'm still bringing my phone to the dentist, but maybe every quiet moment doesn't need to be rescued. Maybe parts of rebuilding our focus is learning that nothing happens for 30 if nothing happens for 30 seconds, then it's not an emergency. Let's talk about the fake productivity because procrastination really has evolved. It used to be I didn't do my assignment because I watch television. Simple. Honest. I think it's a classic. Now it's I didn't do my assignment because I researched the best organizational apps, made a new calendar, and watched 3 videos about discipline, answered my emails, cleaned my desk, reorganized my notes, ordered a water bottle that will finally change my life, and that list will go on. That is not productivity. That's not productive. That is procrastination wearing like a business casual outfit. And here's what I've started realizing about procrastination is that sometimes I'm not avoiding the task, or you might not be avoiding the task. I'm avoiding the feeling that the task gives me because sometimes it gives me confusion, boredom, uncertainty, frustration, and the possibility that I'm going to do it badly. And the feeling of not knowing where to start because think about it. You sit down to do something difficult, you get stuck. And then almost immediately your brain goes, let's check our phones. Why? Nothing happened on the phone. We're just there. But the phone gives you that escape. A difficult task will give you that uncertainty. Your phone gives you something easy. That task might take an hour before you accomplish it. And your phone can give you something interesting within 2 seconds. So sometimes when we say, I can't focus, I have to ask myself another question. Can I not focus, or do I do not, or do I do, or do I not want to sit through the uncomfortable part required to focus? Because those are different. Sometimes focus looks like sitting there when you don't know what to write, or reading the paragraph again, or trying something that might not work, being confused for 5 minutes without immediately escaping. And I want to say something, and I'll say this, and I'll try to say this in the most respectful way, right? Before TikTok University diagnosed all of us with ADHD because we checked Instagram 6 times while listening to an episode, let's slow down a little bit because being distracted does not automatically mean you have ADHD. Difficulty focusing can be part of ADHD, but is it only one possible symptom and one possible explanation for concentration problems? No. You can struggle to focus because you're tired, because you're stressed, maybe you're anxious, or an environment that's loud, or the task that's unclear, or you're just overwhelmed. Or, yes, because you may have ADHD. The point is, don't diagnose yourself or somebody else from a 30-second video, a meme, an episode of this podcast. Because if concentration difficulties are ongoing, showing up across parts of your life, and make work, school, relationships, or daily responsibilities generally hard, it can be worth talking to a qualified healthcare or medical or mental health professional. But anyway, where are my people who cannot clean without spending 20 minutes finding the perfect thing to listen to first? Or me before I go to a gym, for a set. Like, baby, the bathroom could have been cleaned already, but no, okay? We needed a podcast first, then we needed the perfect playlist, and then we respond to a text, and then we changed the playlist because apparently Beyonce wasn't providing the correct emotional environment for the Windex. When we could just say, just clean the mirror, okay? But also, did you guys see how change topics? You see what I did there? You see what I did there? Let's get back to focusing. Now, can we train focus? Yes, but not suddenly expecting yourself to become a monk who reads for 6 hours besides a candle. Like, it's not going to happen that way. We can train our focus by practicing returning, not the drifting part, returning back to that, right? When your mind starts wandering, it's normal. Noticing it and coming back to what you choose to do is the actual rep, the important thing. That is why mindfulness can be useful. And it's an essential thing that you can do when you notice your attention is going somewhere else without turning it into a personal insult. And you can just bring yourself back into that moment. So here are a few things that I'm trying to say that can also help. And somebody told me this is make the task smaller than your resistance. I'm not saying I'm going to finish the project, but just breaking that down, or just say, I'm going to work for like 10 minutes. Another thing that you can do is put your phone somewhere inconvenient, not facing down beside you. That's not convenient. That's like your emotional support technology. Another thing that you can do is practice being bored for a tiny amount of time. Don't start with an hour of silence staring into the wall. That sounds like a punishment from like a boarding school. Start off with just like 2 minutes, and maybe that's waiting for your coffee without your phone. And the last one is to stop the perfect focus. And I think this is a big one because the goal is not to become the person who never gets distracted. The goal is to notice it faster, to come back more gently, to stop turning every lapse right into, see, I have no discipline. I will never achieve anything. No, that's absolutely false. You got distracted. Welcome to the human race, or the human popularity or population, and come back. So this week, Mon family, the challenge is not to become a productivity robot. It's to choose one negative thought you have about yourself on Mondays and challenge it with one focus action or something where you can focus on. So if your thought is, I'm so behind, spend 10 minutes on the thing that you have been avoiding. If the thought is, I have no discipline, put your phone in another room and finish one small task. If your thought is, I can never focus, then practice coming back once. Not perfectly, you can just do it once and repeat it again. Because Monday over negativity is not pretending Monday is magical. It's refusing to let one hard day, one distracted morning, or one overwhelming to-do list decide who you are going to be this week. And to be honest, the world is always going to compete for your attention. And even from a faith perspective, think about how often God, we ask God, give me direction. God, speak to me. And then we give him absolutely no quiet time to do so. And God literally says to us, be still and know that I am God. And maybe sometimes it's not God is silent, is maybe that we're just never still enough to listen. And I think some of us, including me, need to practice being still again. There will always be another notification. There will always be another video, another headline, another reason to leave the difficult thing before you even get the chance to get through it. But you don't have to respond to every impulsive thing immediately. You can let the phone ring, you can let it pass. You can sit in the uncomfortableness being in the middle of a task. You can read the paragraph again. You can stay. And if you see me this week carrying around a small lockbox with my phone inside of it, mind your business because I'm healing.